What is going on, traders, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you. Now in this video, we're going to be going over the top stocks to watch for the week of November 22nd, 2021. Let's get to it. All right, I want to start off with the news that dropped late Friday afternoon where Ford announced that they were no longer going to develop an EV with Rivian. Now this was big news because part of Rivian's hype was the major partnerships that they had with Amazon and Ford. Now, Ford initially invested $500 million into Rivian in 2019, and during the Rivian IPO, that investment was worth as much as $10 billion at one point. Now, Ford feels that they're in a better position since then to compete in the EV space on their own. They were having issues with integrations of hardware and software, so they decided to go ahead and cut ties. Now, Rivian did release a statement saying that Ford remains as an investor and an ally, so they'll continue to work together in some fashion. Now, my question is, what does this mean for the Rivian stock? Will we see it sell off from this current price from around $128? Will it come down to something realistic to maybe $40 or $50 or so? So keep your eye on this one for the next couple of weeks. All right, next up is Chargepoint, ticker symbol CHPT. Now, this is the infrastructure play that many were hoping that was going to shoot up to $35 or $40 by now. Now, here we are looking at the 4-hour chart. Let's zoom into recent times. And for the most part, you can see that it's been respecting this trend line right here for the most part until recently where it broke down on Thursday. Let's zoom into a 15-minute timeline. And right here, you can see right here, this is where it broke down on Thursday morning. It retested it right here and got rejected and trended sideways for the rest of the day. It made a nice push Friday morning, but got rejected several times throughout the day and started trending sideways. So looking at this one here, the levels that I'm going to be looking at for this upcoming week is to see if Chargepoint can break through this new resistance, which is this trend line, and if it can get above 27.75. If it does, then I'll be looking for it to get up to maybe another dollar up to 28.75 or something like that. Now, if it can't get through here and it starts to trend down in the negative direction, the levels I'll be looking at is 25.35 or even lower if they get some bad news or something like that. All right. Next up is Lucid, ticker symbol LCID. And I have Lucid here pulled up on the daily, and you can see right here this trend line that I drew, that it's been respecting this since its last push and this last bullish run that it's been on. But what I did notice is that every time Lucid has a nice push in a day or so, that it sells off for the next couple of days. Here it had a nice push, it sold off for 2 days, and then it gapped down, testing this trend line. Right here, it had a nice push and it gapped up, pushed up again, and then it sold off for the next 2 days, testing this trend line again. Right here, it gapped up, had a nice push, sold off for the next 2 days. Now Friday, it had another nice push. Now, will it push up again for another day, testing $57 or so, or will it sell off for the next 2 days? So this is what I'm watching as Lucid's behavior. A nice push, sell off for 2 days, then it recovers, push up, sell off for 2 days, push up again. So I eventually see this one going up to $60 to $65 over time, but I'm curious to see how this one will react on Monday. So let's zoom in to the 15-minute chart right here. If Lucid cannot stay above $53, I'll be looking for it to sell off a little bit, maybe down to $49 or so. And then on Tuesday sell off a little bit more. Now, if it opens above $53 and it stays up here and it has a nice amount of volume, Lucid could go to $58 on this week and maybe even test up to $60. So these are the levels that I'm going to be watching on Lucid. So mark them down and let's see what happens. All right, next up is Roblox, ticker symbol RBLX. Now, Roblox has been a hot stock since it IPO'd, but it has even more eyes on it these days thanks to Facebook's Meta and Metaverse association. Now, one thing you should know about Roblox is that it has a lot of volume and it has a huge range. It could move $8 to $12 in a day easily. And for example, right here on Thursday, it opened and shot up $11 and then it sold off for 17. So this stock is highly volatile. And also what you should know is that Roblox had some analyst upgrades with a price target up to $150. So Roblox could easily shoot from 138 to 150, or it can also go from 134 down to 125 or so. So keep your eye on this one. This is not a set and forget type stock unless you're a long-term investor, but if you're buying options, you got to keep your eye on these kind of contracts unless you're into the averaging down type strategy. So watch Roblox. If it opens above 138, look for it to try to test this 150 this week. And if it opens below 133 or so, let's see if it can hold 125. Okay, so these are the levels that I'm going to be watching for Roblox. All right, next up is Tesla, ticker symbol TLSA. Now, Tesla was on a hell of a run and got all the way up to $1,250 before Elon started selling his shares. And then it got a little volatile in here, consolidating quite a bit within the $1,100 range. I'm very bullish on Tesla's ability to get back up to $1,200 and above. So keep your eye on Tesla for a push up to $1,200 this week. All right, and the last company I'm going to talk about is Astra, ticker symbol ASTR. Over the weekend, late Friday, early Saturday morning, Astra did a test flight from Alaska attempting to reach orbit, and they finally did it for the first time. And by that being done, Elon did reply to them on Twitter in a tweet saying, "Congrats, orbit is not easy." Now, in the off chance that some of Elon's millions of followers don't know about Astra, this could bring more volume into the stock. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart real quick. All right, here we have Astra on the daily chart, and I'll give you a quick chart history of this ticker. It began as a SPAC that got as high as $22.47 back in February before selling off. And then it got a nice push up in anticipation of the ticker change that pushed it up to around $17 before cooling off again, bottomed around $8 or so. Now in early February, Astra announced that they had secured a contract with the U.S. Space Force that had a possible ceiling value of $986 million over a 9-year period to launch around 20 missions of satellites for the Space Force. Now that news pushed it up all the way to around $12.75 before it cooled off again. Now right here is where Astra tried to do a orbital launch test that failed, and I'll leave a little video of that at the end of this video. And when it failed, it sold off all the way down to $7, and immediately after that, Astra announced that they were going to try again to do an orbital launch, and from there it started to push up. Now here we are today, where they did do their orbital test that was successful. Elon gives them congrats, possibly exposing them to more potential investors. So what I'm looking for in this ticker to see if the volume comes in and they push this ticker right back up. So I will be watching Astra, and I suggest that you put it on your watch list too. All right. And that is the end of the video. Here's wishing you a successful week of trading. Now remember that the stock market is closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving and will close early on Friday at 1 p.m. All right, so keep that in mind just in case you have any contracts that expire this week. Until next week, talk to you later.